seated, DJ Flasher.
Okay. Good morning, colleagues. Let's settle down. Let me start by thanking you first for making it to our media briefing. My name is Elijah Mhlanga. We are going to start the media briefing. I know the MEC for Transport is still on her way, but we're going to start because there are other engagements. Do we really need this? All right. Are we waiting for any other media? I'm just looking at the number of chairs that we have here. All right, that's fine. Premier, I'm going to hand over to you to commence with the media briefing. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Elijah Mhlanga. I think you are quite aware that Elijah is now our head of communications, and I want to formally welcome him and congratulate him for accepting my request to come and join us here in the provincial government. Unfortunately, we are starting this media briefing on a very sad note. You might be aware, all of you, that we lost the former MEC of Housing in our province, who was also the former Deputy Speaker of our legislature, Mr. Dikgang Uhuru Muilwa. On the basis of that, we've made an application for his funeral to be recognized by government. He will be buried over the weekend in Northwest, and we intend to ensure that those that are coming from our province that wants to join the funeral service, they are supported to do so. Mr. Muilwa played a very important role in reshaping human settlements in our province, and we even appointed him to be part of a commission to look at traditional leadership in our province, something that was very close to him. And we intend to release the final report on traditional leadership in his honor in our province in the next few days. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you this morning and thank you so much for joining us, and apologizing that I've congested you in this room, purely because our normal boardroom is being upgraded so that you don't have to go through difficulties if you attend our media briefings. We've invited you to brief you that as part of our commitment as government to build capacity of the state and avoid relying on tenders and contracts which have created unbearable pain in delays of project, unfinished project, and in some instances prolonged court processes. This week we've taken a conscious decision to launch a skills development program called NASISPAN Reloaded second version. This process was a resolution of our executive Lekgotla so that we can identify unemployed young people that are staying in our townships, in our communities, to be trained during school holidays and when our schools are not utilized, so that they can go and conclude social projects that remains unfinished. We believe this approach, which have since been endorsed by various sector organizations that will meet later today, will provide the necessary skills that our children or our young people need so that they can be in a position to be economically productive in our province. This project is coined in a manner that when schools closes, we'll then utilize the school facilities to train unemployed people in bricklaying, welding, painting, AI, and many other much needed careers so that these young people can be productive in the rebuilding of our province. We have set aside 50 million as the provincial government, and there are various agencies of government that have also joined us who will also put additional resources. In the final analysis, almost 45,000 people across our province will go through the training doors of our schools starting this weekend and ending at the beginning of January next year. This pool, after graduating, they'll be deployed to paint our schools, fix broken traffic lights or broken traffic signs, repair the grave sites that are going through difficulties, and many social facilities that need immediate attention. We are of the strong view that this kind of support is needed so that we can ensure those that are unemployed are given opportunities. We intend to expand this program so that it can cover other areas of social infrastructure upliftment that is needed in our province. Today, almost 2 years after the unfortunate Usindizo fire, we are formally releasing the full report that was crafted by Justice Hampepe and Commissioner Mabena, and they've gone at length to establish the reasons for hijacked buildings, and they've also forwarded what I characterize as good recommendations. It's very unfortunate that those from the word go when we announced this commission were criticizing us because the country is fatigued with commissions are the ones that are accusing us that we are delaying the release of this report, when in the first instances, they rejected the establishment of this report. This commission established to deal with two parts. The first part to find those that are responsible for the death of almost 107 people, and the second part being to deal with issues related to the buildings themselves. We are proud that the final report has been delivered to us on time as per the gazetted commitment that we've given to Justice Hampepe. I've since delivered this report to the Executive Mayor of Johannesburg and will await their feedback so that their feedback can be incorporated in the implementation plan that we intend to adopt. The report, and I'll come later on its clear recommendations, indicates the urgent need for all of us to take the issue of hijacked buildings in Johannesburg serious. Even though the report, so I said 177, it's 77 people that were killed. Even though the report contests the issue of hijacked buildings and feel that the phenomenon of hijacked buildings, it's something that needs to be unpacked, we as the Gauteng provincial government accepts the full report as it is, and we commit ourselves to implement its recommendation. The Commission investigation, which included inspecting close to 110 properties, uncovered crucial insights that challenge common assumptions. These are some of the key findings from the Commission's report. As I said, this is a big report, so the electronic version of the report will be posted on our website tomorrow morning. In summary, this is what the report states. 1. The root cause misidentified. The investigation challenges the common assumptions that hijacked buildings are the primary problem. Evidence shows that only a small minority, 5.7%, of properties had allegations of rent collection by non-owners. The crisis is instead driven by extreme poverty and a severe lack of affordable housing, forcing people into unsafe living conditions. 2. Pervasive fire hazards. A critical and immediate threat of life exists. Most properties, almost 79%, have fire safety concerns, with most, which is 71%, completely lacking any fire safety equipment. The use of combustive materials and blocked escape routes further exacerbated this danger. 3. Lack of basic services. Most properties, 77% to be exact, were found to be without essential services such as water, sanitation, refuse removal, and electricity. This leads to unsafe living conditions and contributes to the fire risk through the proliferation of dangerous illicit electrical connections. So the Commission factual findings in respect of the inspected buildings are the following. 1. A severe shortage of affordable housing and failed policies force low-income individuals into dangerous buildings. 2. The city's inability to provide emergency accommodation has paralyzed evictions and trapping residents. 3. Buildings are overcrowded and lack basic services like water and electricity. 4. The buildings are dilapidated with poor structural integrity, with no fire escape, thus creating health hazard. 5. There is a widespread non-compliance with city bylaws and a consistent failure to enforce them, allowing buildings to deteriorate. 6. The city has failed to allocate sufficient funds for its housing policies, making its budget for social housing inadequate. 7. Developers face significant hurdles, such as slow approvals and funding, which discourage private investment in this sector. 8. And lastly, that private owners face financial losses and long legal battles, discouraging them from maintaining their properties. So with these recommendations, we've made the copies available to the city. You will recall that the first part, when it was released, the city registered its dissatisfaction in terms of the findings and recommended a review of the findings. We have again made this copy available to the city, and we will engage with the city and then incorporate the issues that they want to bring into our attention, as I indicated, as part of our commitment to implement the findings and the resolutions established by Justice Hampepe. In the last 3 months, the political party that I represent, the African National Congress, observed and noted the number of political killings in our province. We've lost endless numbers of councillors, government officials, and many other staff members that are employed either by local government agencies or arms of the state. It was the observation of the African National Congress that these killings are not innocent. Within that context, I was assigned a task to go and meet with the Minister of Police so that we can compile a database of unresolved cases that dates back as 2010. On the basis of the information that we have managed to gather on these unresolved cases, we are of the strong view that the provincial-based political task team confined within the SAPS and all other law enforcement agencies need to be established in our province. After our discussions with the minister, he committed that we'll discuss this matter with the provincial commissioner, and we are therefore pleased and welcome the announcement made by the National Police Commissioner, General Fanny Masemula, regarding the establishment of a dedicated Gauteng political killings task team in our province. This specialized unit, set to be launched in the next 4 weeks, will be tasked with investigating and resolving high-profile and politically sensitive cases within the province. We want to urge our structures, our people, and all those that might have information about political and administrative killings in our province, especially those that are employed within government, either at national, provincial, or local government, to make use of the establishment of this unit so that we can resolve these matters once and for all. We owe it to families of the victims, and we also owe it to those that have provided the relevant information to assist law enforcement agencies. The Provincial Police Department has confirmed that planning is already underway with this critical phase involving the development of a comprehensive project plan and the finalization of the team's precise terms of reference, including ensuring the appropriate allocation of necessary resources and personnel. This initiative represents a significant step forward, bolstering the fight against political violence, and the Government of Provincial Unity support all these initiatives to ensure that there is peace and political tolerance in our province. We want to argue that within this political task team, issues related to taxi violence and the leadership of the taxi industry that has been killed in our province should not be excluded. We'll then have further discussions with the SAPS and all other law enforcement agencies to incorporate this. To us, this is a major breakthrough, and we want to thank the Minister of Police, Professor Firoz Kashalia, for moving speedily on this matter after we've had a session with him as the Gauteng provincial government. This provincial administration pledges its full support and unwavering support to law enforcement and the judiciary in their efforts to arrest and prosecute those who seek to use violence to settle political scores, thereby undermining our constitution and our democracy. The provincial government welcomes the timeless intervention by our MEC for Roads and Transport, Ms. Kidiboni Dialetlavela, who worked tirelessly with Taxi Association to avert a prolonged taxi strike while engagement continues to reconcile existing differences. We apologize to our commuters who were inconvenienced and left stranded by the withdrawal of this service. We support the decision to use dialogue to resolve differences and the efforts to establish a cordial working relationship based on rules-based system and to ensure that discipline and adherence to the rule of law is not compromised. This approach ensures industry compliance while building trust and enhancing stakeholder relations. The province commits to expediting routes verification and registration, including the implementation of ZIV as a program within the next 2 weeks to resolve the crisis in the operating license regime. Special focus will be given to associations that are prone to conflicts. It is within this context that we want to thank the Ministers of Police, Firoz Kashalia, and the Minister of Transport, Barbara Dallas Creasy, for their help in resolving the taxi strike. The province of Gauteng held its executive Lekgotla last week for 2 days to deliberate and expand in a manner in which to reignite the economy of our province, but most importantly fight crime and create opportunities that will ensure that services are rendered in our schools and health facilities. One area which we have deep interest is to use infrastructure expansion as a basis for economic development in our province. And the province now is proud that it has reached the final stages of an appointment of a preferred bidder in the Gautrain expansion, and the current concessionaire of Gautrain expires in March 2026, and by the end of March 2026, this 45 billion asset will now be formally transferred to the Gauteng government, and the people of Gauteng will own everything that is related to Gautrain. This is a massive success and an insight of the leadership that led us before, who have taken a conscious decision to go to the private sector and ask the private sector to invest their money, and after a certain period, almost 25 years, to hand over this asset to the people of Gauteng. So in March, we'll welcome the 45 billion asset that will ensure that we don't even owe a cent to the concessionaire, and that this asset will then be used and belong and be part of the balance sheet of the Gauteng government. It's within this context that we've also taken a decision to go back to the market to open up for preferred bidders who will expand the Gauteng to Soweto, Mamelodi, Four Ways, and Roodepoort, and also embark on a feasibility study to explore to connect Gauteng with smart cities like Lanseria, and also to go to Sidibeng, that is the Val, to ensure that every part of our province is connected through Gauteng. As earlier indicated, we've received bidders, and those bidding documents are going to be evaluated, and the Executive Council is going, in its next meeting, is going to take a decision and announce the preferred bidder. We are also aware that we are in the middle of preparing for the Gauteng G20 hosting as a hosting province. Yesterday, we held a meeting with the Minister of International Affairs, Minister Ronald Lamola, as the chief organizer of the G20 summit, to prepare him and to give him an update of the work that we've done as the provincial government. In the last 3 months, we have been meeting almost every Tuesday with the executive mayors of all municipalities, agencies like Sanral, the taxi industry, together with ward councillors and communities, to prepare for this important economic activity that will take place in our province. In a meeting with the minister, we detailed the substantial progress that we've made in revitalizing our infrastructure, and we summarized the achievement thus far as follows. In terms of pothole repairs in the province, 1,523 potholes have now been repaired, standing at almost 97%, and we still have almost 3% of major potholes, especially in major highways and metro-related roads that still need to be completed. In terms of road markings, we are standing at 40% of all the road markings that need to be concluded before guests arrive for the G20. In terms of grass cutting and litter picking, this initiative, which includes to remove some of the litter and also to ensure that we don't have unnecessary objects in our freeway, we have covered almost 481 kilometers of our roads, which constitutes 70%. We are now left with 30% that need to be concluded. The area that we have not done well is the installation of fence. We have identified 11.2 kilometers that need new fencing, and we are currently standing at 4.4%. It's an area that needs to be accelerated. In terms of lighting, there's rehabilitation work on 23,000 square meters of lighting, and this put us at almost 88.7% of street lights that we have repaired and are functional. There are also street lights that still need to be concluded and finalized. In terms of guardrail replacement, the project to replace 77.6 kilometers of guardrail is currently standing at 38%. In terms of stormwater drainage maintenance, maintenance of 443 stormwater drains is almost finished. We are now standing at 88.4%. In terms of traffic signals repairs, that is traffic lights, repairs on 64 traffic lights are halfway complete, and we are standing at 50% of all traffic lights that we need to fix come November 2025. We really believe this work must not only end after the G20. With the work that we've done thus far, it's quite clear that it's possible to bring all the resources together and continue to make our province a better province. All executive mayors, together with the agencies that I've mentioned earlier, are also willing to continue beyond G20 to beautify our province. We also visited various ports of entries, especially those that are related to the airline industry, and we are quite pleased that this industry is ready to welcome guests in our province. It's indicated that after our Lekgotla, we also took a decision following the President's visit about the state of the CBD and the state of the Johannesburg CBD. During that period, our President announced the Johannesburg Working Group, which was established to tackle long-standing urban management challenges in the CBD. And this committee that has been hard at work has focused its work on the following areas: governance of the CBD, financial stability of Johannesburg municipality, water and sanitation, electricity supply, safety and CBD renewal. The executive reaffirmed its full support to the Presidential Working Committee and were quite pleased with the work that they've covered thus far. We are of the strong view a better, clean, habitable Johannesburg will rise in our lifetime. We will accelerate our support and once more thank the President for availing the teams and the people that he has assigned to assist us to revitalize the Johannesburg CBD. With more than 400 new informal settlements emerging across the province, the Executive Lekgotla emphasized the need for coordinated action to prevent illegal and land invasion and ensure compliance with housing and land use regulations. We come to you to declare that unfortunately there are going to be unprecedented number of evictions and dismantling of informal settlement in our province. The number of informal settlements that are mushrooming even in our urban areas and in some areas within our cities is now reaching at disturbing levels, and we have no choice but to fight back and push back those that have taken advantage of the legal gaps that are available within this sector. So the new 400 informal settlement that has emerged in the last few months, we are now committing ourselves through the Department of Human Settlement, the Department of Home Affairs, and all law enforcement agencies to dismantle, if not to completely relocate those that we think that need to be formalized. We are of the strong view there is a new organized crime that is happening within the informal settlement sector. And as government, we have no choice but to respond with the necessary force if needed. In a move to strengthen accountability, the Executive Council has dedicated every Wednesday to direct community engagement. One of the areas that we want to go back to our communities is matters related to drugs, in particular, Nyaupen, the drugs that have destroyed our young people. We're going to engage in various roadshows in communities to identify and get those that need assistance to be available immediately through the coordinated approach that we've adopted at the Executive Council. Amongst the areas is the provision of the necessary medication through the Department of Health, economic activities through the Department of Economic Development, but most importantly, the social support through the Department of Social Development. We are of the strong view that this is a long overdue commitment that we have made, and due to the seriousness of it, we have not made the necessary progress that we thought we would have made by now. But our commitment to engage with our communities will assist us to resolve this matter. Once more, I want to thank members of the Executive Council, especially those political parties that are part of the Provincial Government of Unity, who have demonstrated their loyalty and commitment to ensure that this government functions. We want to thank the political parties, especially their leaders, who have extended a hand on some of the issues that need to be resolved in the provincial government. We have noted the statement that was released by the IFP Provincial Secretary about the nature and the caliber of the government of provincial unity. The national leadership of the IFP have since contacted us and distanced themselves from that statement and committed to speak to the provincial secretary of that party. I led negotiations with RISE, Mzansi, a political party that has a representative in the executive, and RISE Mzansi have reaffirmed their commitment on this matter. In terms of political discussions, the African National Congress is in full discussions with the PA and the EFF on matters that has the potential to affect governance either in Johannesburg or other municipalities. As soon as these matters are resolved, they will be brought to government and will communicate the way forward on these issues. where we stand, we really believe that we have a government that is viable, ready to serve our people, and most importantly, to welcome those that will be coming for the G20 and those that will be enjoying golf in the next few months in March. Let's conclude by thanking the Scorpions team who have organized a successful concert, which we have utilized as a test to determine whether our systems can hold when we convene such huge events. We congratulate those that have organized this event, as it has brought huge economic spin-offs in our province, and we welcomed people that came from other neighboring countries that joined the concert. As Gauteng, we remain the home of champions and the home that can coordinate and convene national and international events. Thank you so much for attention.
Thank you very much, Premier, for the detailed report. I'm going to now request that we move to question time, and we will ask that you indicate your interest in asking a question by raising your hand. And once recognized, you then announce who you are and who you work for, and then proceed to ask your question. I'm seeing 2 hands for now, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's take the first 5 questions. Because I'm left-handed, I'll start on my left. We'll start with you, Heidi, and then we'll go to the other side. Please proceed.
It's Heidi Jacos from ENCA. Premier, I just wanted to find out in terms of the Nasi Isfani program, could you just indicate exactly where the money is going to come from? Previously, you had challenges with the program, with some indicating that they weren't paid on time. Can you assure that that will not happen? And then just your views as a Premier, as much as the Nasi Isfani program is a solution, it's a short-term solution. So how is Gauteng going to try and ensure that you have a long-term solution to create jobs in the province? Thank you.
Let me respond immediately. During the budget allocation, the MEC responsible for finance allocated 50 million rands for this program of Nasi Isfani. Unfortunately, we work together with the SITAs, and all of you know the challenges of SITAs at national, that have been non-functional for quite some time, because the appointment of administrators created problems, and therefore there was a delay. And I met with the new Minister of Higher Education on the kind of support that they will provide, and I'm quite convinced that we're not going to have any financial problems. Actually, since the inception of Nasi Isfani, we've never had problem of payments. We had administrative problems of those that could not be paid on the basis of various strict systems in government. For example, if you earn the 350 grand and are part of the program, the payments will not go through. Or you receive any other grant, the payments will not go through. But we also had teething problems on the basis of the system that needs to be used to pay. Because some of our programs, if you use a government payment system of salaries called PESAL, it makes some certain compulsory deductions like UIF, tax, and other. So the amount that we pay becomes really small. So we need to have alternative payment mechanisms, which unfortunately could not carry the numbers that we had. And also, I've seen a latest statement by the Youth League that there are some payments that are still outstanding of some of the projects. And I asked the DG to attend to those concerns. But if you have a program as big as this Nasi Isfani thing, that in my last count, the people that we've empowered, employed, can fill the entire FNB stadium, it's an indication that naturally there will be limitations. But that does not mean that the program is not successful. And we are deliberate that it's a short-term support system but they are long-term support system. We've just went through our investment conference and we're there, Heidi, where we managed to gather almost 300 billion, which are new people that are going to create permanent jobs for our people. We are also aware that the economy is not performing that well. There are major companies that are leaving our province. And we are also worried that institutions like ArcelorMittal are intending to offload lots of people that need to be employed. But we are also encouraged that there are new companies that are coming. I mean, I just welcome Chair International, which is intending to open their plant in our province. I also welcomed Pepsi Cola that disinvested in our province is coming back to open a major plant to service the entire African continent. We have to create that environment to create jobs. I've signed a very interesting agreement with the province of Hunan in China that is going to service our agricultural sector. The Tshwane municipality, in the next few days, they will invite you if they've not invited you. They're going on a massive investment conference because we've worked with them and there's potential investment. So our support to create jobs, obviously it will be short-term, which is Nasispan, long-term, which is the investment that we continue to attract, including the expansion of the Gauteng. We are of the view that is going to create long permanent jobs when the construction for the expansion resumes, and our commitment to build a speed train between the two provinces of Gauteng and Limpopo. Thanks.
Thank you, Premier. Let's take the third question. Gentleman.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Vanel. I'm from Tembisa Online. Premier, thank you so much that you have addressed the issue of substance abuse, which in Tembisa I think is one of the major problems that we are facing. But fortunate enough, there's some movements and organizations that are trying to at least fight the substance and also take people to rehab. But the challenge, the gens are coming back. The movement, I think it's called Tembisa Drugs Rehabilitation Movement, owned by Tato Matume. They are 3 years now. The gens have came back from rehab, stayed maybe 3-4 months, went back again to the streets because there's nothing that they are doing. I just wanted to find out if is there any, by means of e-government, be assist such organizations, and also being assisted in terms of forming a proper structure, whether having a rehab of some community-based kind of, where Amachita will be then taken to those such, because already they are doing such. I'm not their advocate, I'm just sharing based on their experience. They are 3 years now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mfanelo. I agree with you. I know those formations. And that's the reason why we took stock of our substance abuse. It's many things that the team is working out. One of the areas that we really believe that we need to look upon is the issue of liquor licenses. That we can't just have a free-for-all distribution and issuing of liquor licenses. There are just too many. And they need to be managed. So to have the capacity to do that, we want to, but we really believe that let's consult the industry and the sector. And we remain hopeful that they will accept that we can't have every second house being a liquor license, because it starts there before it goes to hard substances like drugs and other related matters. So the Executive Council spent much time analyzing that particular sector. And that is why you see our proposals is threefold. It's for us to identify and go and meet with them at community level. The second part is to create economic opportunities. The Department of Economic Development is going to develop a mechanism so that when they conclude their rehabilitation, there are economic activities that will allow them to work. And the third area is the actual social support that the Department of Social Development will do. So we've spent lots and lots of time. Indeed, we accepted that we failed our communities on this part. We made big plans, put resources, but we underestimated the numbers. When the numbers came, we didn't have the capacity to accommodate those numbers. So with the lessons that we've learned, we are now putting up the necessary systems. But we are going community by community. You will see we'll be running massive campaigns where we are requesting parents to literally bring their children to us at community walls so that we can be in a position to give support. And those that need immediate help, we are also bringing our medical teams to provide that help. But we'll then deal with the issues of the institution that you've raised, Mfanel, so that we can give that institution support as well.
Thank you, Premier. Let's take question number 4.
Okay, Junior Komalo from Newsroom Africa Premier. The first question is on the Nasispani project. You
Yeah.
spoke about bringing in these young people to complete some of these unfinished projects within the province. Do we by any chance have a number in terms of how many unfinished projects and maybe a tally in terms of the cost of these unfinished
13
projects?
billion.
Okay. And what happens then to the companies that were awarded those tenders to build these projects? Do we now just let that go, or what happens there? And just lastly, on the political killings task team, you spoke about having created a database after meeting with the minister. Was there an indication of how many individuals have been killed in the province? Thank you.
Junior, and that's the area that I said to, I chair every quarter a meeting of infrastructure in our province. If you can see the report, you can see that government does not have capacity. And those that were relying on them to build roads, to build clinics, to build schools, they are taking advantage that government does not have capacity. I can show you a list of clinics that if we have concluded them on the basis of the contracts that we've given them to conclude them by a certain period, I'm of the view that we'll not have a problem of clinics in our province. If I can give you the list of schools that are unfinished, and I can give you the contracts where if you give a contract to Junior, Heidi will take you to court. And we spent time in court to say, should we give it to Junior or to give it? Whereas society does not have water. So we met, we received these reports. Personally, I felt that it's unjustifiable that the state does not have capacity even to fix. I mean, now with G20, you see a traffic sign, stop sign. That stop sign is about to fall. To get somebody to fix it, we must go on a tender to come and just tender, or a school that need to be painted. You can't paint that school because the state does not have capacity. So now, the Nasispani now is about building capacity for that state. So that if we need plumbing, bricklaying, we don't have to go on a tender. The same budget, it's 13 billion rands of unfinished projects. Just tell me 13 billion rands. Old age centers that have been built, left unattended. Driving licenses centers that have been built, left unattended. And you feel that the state must now be at the mercy of tenderers. But beside the tenderers themselves, they're either threatening our officials, killing each other, whistleblowers' reports stand unresolved. I'm of the strong view. Time has arrived that you build that capacity within the state. And you can't have unemployment that is so high, but you are training centers called schools. During December, during September holidays, they're standing empty. Teachers that are going through difficulties of high price of electricity are complaining that their salaries are not enough. So if you train these people and pay the teachers to get extra money, you'll have the capacity because these training centers are there. This is our schools. This is our teachers. They've got all these technical schools. They've got all these facilities to train the unemployed. So that's the angle that we've taken. But obviously, such an intervention will attract, as I say, people, ID said, we have not paid other people before. So people will use something to say, no, this thing is either electioneering, when they forget that I was elected last year. So I can't electioneer because I was just elected last year. We just have to continue to do the commitment to build the capacity of the state. The political killings, the numbers are shocking. they're still trickling in. We have to extend it even to 2010 and say, let's start at 2010. There are those that stretches beyond 2010. But for purpose of completeness, we say, let's start with 2010 up until now. And there are people that have given us those names. But beside, every person that dies in our country, police record those incidences. So we also received those reports. And there are people that they've just been killed and no one follows up. So we really believe that this political task team, and I'm glad that the new minister listened to us when we requested that we need this kind of support. Unfortunately, the police currently in our country are going through difficulties of commissions, misinterpretation of mandates, and many other things. We didn't want to be dragged there. Our approach was that let's establish a task team in our province, ensure that is appropriately resourced. The terms of reference are clear so that there's no confusion, and we can be in a position to give a deadline to conclude their work. And we are happy that we are on that path.
Thank you, Prima. Right.
24.
Good morning, Premier. Breiten from Netwerk 24. Premier, I just want to check with you. The Nasi Spani program, are there specific background checks that are being done on the individuals that you take into the program? I know we've seen with the crime wardens, for example, some of these crime wardens plowing into people's homes, actually costing the government more money. Even crime wardens being arrested in Palm Ridge. I saw a story, I think it was a month or so ago. So just on that, just those checks and balances of the program. And then on the coalition in Johannesburg, Premier, is that whispers of instability? How concerned are you? I spoke to the PA, I think it was last week. They said that there's some individuals in the ANC that they term as arrogant. Maybe you have better insight. Are they arrogant individuals? I know that the ANC in Johannesburg is having their regional conference next month as well. What's the status? I know the mayor is also the acting MMC for transport now. What's your comment on that? And then on G20, you listed a long list of achievements. But Premier, what happens if individuals take the wrong turn? Are there going to be street lights there or street signs? Are we sorted and covered in terms of, or is it only specific routes and areas that are being focused on? And then just lastly, on the taxi violence, I heard you saying this morning that you are for this dialogue initiative, if I can call it that. But with the launch of the GTI unit, you said you are ready to go toe-to-toe with the taxi industry. So are you backtracking on that statement? Thank you, Premier.
Let me start with the coalition arrangements. We're intact. Coalition, by their own definition, they are fluid. It literally changes every day. And sometimes you commit mistakes that creates uncertainty. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, they're voting for the chief whip. The coalition of Johannesburg stood firm together. We voted for the chief whip of a political party that we thought that will assist us as part of the government of local unity. And that chief whip was voted in unopposed, demonstrating that we are working together. But the reality is, the movement of Kenny Kunene as an MMC of transport in Johannesburg have raised tensions within the political parties that feel that the post need to be filled in a particular way. And as the ANC, our biggest challenge, someone said this, I'm not sure it's correct, that the ANC is in a polygamous relationship with these political parties. Because all these political parties want to have a relationship with the ANC. They don't want to have a relationship with all parties that are part of government. So each political party wants to negotiate its interest with the ANC. And in such an environment, it becomes very difficult for the ANC to satisfy everyone. So currently there is an issue of filling of the MMC transport that is now in the public domain. But the ANC is managing it by meeting with all the relevant political parties. As indicated, we're going to meet with the PA, we're going to meet with Action SA. And I've been mandated by the political party to have talks with those political parties. But we sometimes make silly mistakes that after that you ask yourself, why did we do that? I will give you. Action SA voted for us for the issue of the chief whip in Johannesburg. But after voting for us, because Action SA is not sitting in the meetings that other political parties are debating, all the chairperson of Action SA were voted out. After they voted for us, I mean, how somebody gives you a vote and then we remove them? So those are kind of tensions that I'm talking about that we are trying to manage and to rectify. And we'll meet with the leadership of Action SA to rectify that part. The political conferences that are taking place, we are happy that Ekurhuleni has concluded one. We are assisting Johannesburg. Indeed, conferences by their own definition, they bring tension within a government. So some of the challenges that we are facing might be related to, but I'm of the strong view that with the success of Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg will follow, will then go to the West End, and then the Tshwane will be the last to go to conference. But instruction has been issued that we need to conclude this conference the latest by November. So we remain hopeful that we'll meet that deadline. In terms of G20, our argument is that G20 is propelling us to restore social infrastructure in our province, across, not only, and I've seen people saying that we're fixing only G20 related routes. We're not fixing only G20 related routes. We are starting somewhere and we want to go up until the last street that needs to be fixed. In our meeting yesterday with the executive mayors and the national government, we argued that even after G20, this committee that is resolving issues must continue, because it's quite clear that it's working. We've been working with difficult municipalities. Now that all municipalities feel that they need to contribute to G20, it has made this relationship easy. And now we are willing to go beyond the G20 to resolve some of the issues. But the preparations, I can tell you, are spot on. We have also, in an advanced discussion with your, what you call road apps, you know, when you come to a country, you put an app to take you, yes. To say that certain areas, we have to protect our visitors. We have no choice. So that those particular areas, we must not use the roads that will make sure, that will ensure that some of the visitors get lost to those areas and create problems. But the signage is spot on. I mean, you will see Nasrec, for example, will change from being Nasrec to be Johannesburg Expo for this purpose. And the road signs will deal with the areas. There are 4 critical areas that we need to ensure that the signage to those areas and the signage outside those areas are key. Naturally, is the airport, Rosebank, Sentin, and Nasrec. These are the areas that we have to ensure that there's proper signage, because people will utilize those particular routes to go to the G20. But thus far, which is something that South Africans are missing, I don't know about Gauteng, countrywide. As Gauteng alone, we've already hosted not less than 17 G20 sessions. The biggest one being today, the business G20. That is going to also hand over their report to Minister Lamola. So we've been having all these G20 meetings. So we're not only doing it for the heads of states, but we've been doing it to accommodate also these meetings that have been sitting. And that's why we have not seen serious problems. Well, the NASISPANI, in terms of issues of payments and issues of wardens. My frustrations with the wardens is that if I have to train them, I'm training them for a specific mandate. But currently, there is a mandate questioning that has developed, including the request by the public protector on this matter. So until we know we are training them for what, incidents that you are saying are happening will happen, because we have not trained them at the highest level of the responsibilities that we want to give them. But where we are, the current NASISPAN, we've put a special team for vetting, which we do so that we know these are South Africans. We know they're not double dipping, they're not part of another program that will ensure that the ID numbers are correct and all those things. So we have all those things. And the team is working on to ensure that we don't. I don't want to go toe to toe with the tax industry, but I'm not going to surrender to criminality. I also don't want to go fire by fire with the tax industry. We are not in the business of fighting. We're in the business of building. But we can't tolerate people that think that they can threaten government. And to be quite frank, the associations that we are working with, MECs meets with them every Friday. Those associations are very cooperative. I've been in many meetings with those associations. So our attitude is to resolve issues through negotiations, but where we believe that the state is overstretched, obviously, we have to strengthen the capacity of the state to respond appropriately on those matters. Thanks.
Thank you, Prima. I'm told there's one last question this side. In the first round.
Elijah, we have invited people. You can't limit them. Allow them.
In the first round.
Allow them.
It's a new question. Let's go, then we'll go back to the people.
Yeah, allow them, Elijah.
Good morning. My name is Steven Sakwe from Mapepeza News Media. Two questions. The first is to you, MEC, regarding the road infrastructure. Do you believe that there is organized crime that is working particularly in the CBD, in northern suburbs and around the inner city, that is deliberately breaking our robots and traffic lights? Because as of now, you've launched several programs where you have taken the initiative to fix these street lights. However, behind you, there's people who are also deliberately breaking them. Like, for example, just tilting the robot to the side, at least it won't work, or cutting the pole, the yellow pole, completely with a grinder. We don't know who comes with a grinder in the middle of the night and cuts those robots, particularly in the inner city. So do you believe there's organized crime behind the vandalism of streetlights? And then my second question is to you, Premier. We saw that NASISPAN is launching again on Saturday. We just want to know what's the difference between that and Ikrash Nolova last year. Because last year we saw that it was continuing, about 3,000 candidates were recruited, and up to this year, I think some of them are still employed. So is it a continuation, or is it another relaunch or another approach to what is already existing? And then we saw also that in the poster that is publicized, there's no mention of, let's say, the local municipality or any area, TVET college, technical high school or high school that is mentioned on the poster. We just want to know, is that a technical error type of some sort, or is it deliberately saying that this one is not going to Lesedi? Thank you.
Okay, good stuff. Let's take new hands now. So, okay, let's go this side. Heidi will come to you. Let's go this side. Let's take new hands. We need new voices. Thank you. Maybe Prima, you can respond to that in the meantime.
Okay. No, it needs
The MEC.
the MEC.
Thank you very much.
No. Let me allow the yeah. Let me see. It's temporary. I'm still the premier.
I don't want to be a premier. It's a difficult job. Thank you very much for the question. I thought you were going to say thank you very much, Department of Roads and Transport and the municipalities for doing a great job of fixing the roads as well as the road furniture that we find in our province. And I must really thank the executive mayors and MMCs in our cities. They've really jacked up and we are fixing. There's that suspicion that there's perhaps a syndicate that is working on stealing and vandalizing our infrastructure. And the Premier has established a unit that deals with on law enforcement and that deals with investigations on infrastructure vandalism in our province. And we are also beneficiaries of that work as roads and transport because we are mostly affected. They steal copper. Just yesterday we were getting a report from SAPS that there's cases that are opened to assist us, not only us as a province, but also national entities like ESCOM are also affected. So we're doing our best to track and follow the infrastructure. That is money of the public that needs to be followed. And perhaps if you have information on that, please share with us so that we're able to deal with the syndicates if really it's true they are there. The other issue is the metal scrap yards that we have, which needs to be regulated, and law enforcement in our province, including national entities, are working on that to assist us. So it's work in progress, and surely we'll get there. We're also looking at alternatives to copper, and CSIR has been modeling and remodeling on our behalf on what is the alternative technology that we can use for all the road furniture. Road furniture is guardrail. I think you see them. They're always broken. Road furniture is stop sign. Road furniture is traffic lights, street lights. So we're looking at alternatives that we can use. This is a highly regulated area. You can't put concrete as your guardrails because concrete kills people. But then they still get stolen at the same time. So we're looking at alternatives, and we trust that institutions of higher learning that we work with, as well as the CSR, will come up with alternatives for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MC. While the Premier returns to his seat, can we take that question?
Okay. Good morning, Premier. It's Lebohang Dashe from Wine News. I just wanted to ask in regards to Nasispani, what measures will be put in place to prevent any potential politicization in selecting individuals for the training program, since you've mentioned that critics have slammed the program as an electioneering gimmick? And also, you mentioned the issue about the alarming trend of informal settlement. Of the 400 informal settlements that the province has identified, how many are going to be demolished and how many are going to be relocated? And you've also touched on that there's elements of organized criminality within that trend. How far are you with that? Has an investigation been launched to probe such allegations?
Okay, great stuff.
Yeah. I prefer to take them on, if you don't mind, Elijah.
All right, let's proceed.
Yeah. Lebohang, in our country, I've learned, you do something, you are damned. You don't do it, you are damned. Everyone complains about jobs. Everyone complains. Say our people are not working. You create job opportunities, you are criticized. People said that we are doing this thing because there were elections last year. We're doing it even beyond elections. So, and as you're saying, they're saying we are politicizing this thing. The people that have recruited, all of them, if we're politicizing it, I would not run a coalition government now. Because they would have voted for us so that we're in government without coalition. So it's just something that I don't understand in most instances where when people criticize us on some of the work that we are doing. Because I'll rather be criticized that I've created an opportunity for someone that had no opportunity. Because if you don't do that, these are the people that will create a crime and other things. We've got 9,000 crime wardens. 2 years ago, they were doing nothing. Today, they can take their children to school, they can feed their families, they can buy Christmas presents. That's how economy functions. And all of them, I don't know them. So I didn't identify them. And I don't know even their political affiliation, because in the forms that they fill, there's nowhere that's a political party affiliation. So the accusations are not only baseless, I sometimes feel they're mindless. It's people that don't want to read. We have a problem of unemployment. And everyone, when they go to a public platform to complain about this government, the first thing is youth unemployment. And if you introduce programs to tackle that youth unemployment, you are wrong. I'm running out of words because I'm one person that is passionate about skills development. I really believe that if you can't get education right, all other things are the after effects of not getting quality education. And we need to get education right. And that is why some of us are strong proponents that where quality education is must be accessible to everyone. Must not be a terrain of the privileged few. Everyone must access quality education because it's majority that are unemployed. And if they get skills, if they get quality, then we'll not be in a position to have this kind of inequality that we are having it. So our commitment to NASISPAN remain true, and our commitment to NASISPAN is not political, and our commitment to NASISPAN is to build skills for our people. He's right, Stevens, that we have a crash all over, where we registered everyone. The people that registered for that crash all over, they said, I don't want a job, I want a skill. And these are the people that we're picking up to give them a skill. They say that if I can be a professional plumber, I really believe I can replace these foreign citizens that are in our country undocumented that are doing this plumbing job. And we are putting it. I'm going, I don't know, Elijah will tell you the day. One morning, you know the people that are carrying board, I'm a plumber, I need a job, a bricklayer. For this kind of NASISPAN Stevens, I'm not going to recruit somebody that is on a computer somewhere. I'm going street by street. People that are standing outside your estates with board, I'm recruiting them for this NASISPAN program. These are the people that are sitting in the sun. They've been there looking for a job. No one was listening to them. I'm going to recruit them to come and build the capacity of the state. Unfortunately, they have to be South Africans. This is the recruitment that I'm going. Anyone that you see on the corner of your street in the morning with a board, I'm a bricklayer, I'm a something, I'm going through the communication team on a recruitment in a bus. I'm taking them, all of them, in a bus. We are taking them back to our schools to be retrained, to check their capabilities. And these are the people that are going to fix incomplete buildings of government. And that's job creation. So you can't have people that have skills that are unemployed and have unfinished projects of government. You take them, just paint, refresh them, deploy them, and pay them rather than tender us to finish the projects that they need to finish. And that's the approach that we are taking. But as you said, Lebohang, I'll be accused of politicization or electioneering. And I'm not in that mood. I'm in a mood of working and to ensure that we deal with unemployment. We're just cautioning those people that are starting to put up new informal settlement. There's a new informal settlement that was put over the weekend in Ennerdale. Over the weekend. And it's clear, the pattern is clear. Identify if that government is, that land owned by government, go there, send fewer people. After 72 hours, because we've not been evicted, call everyone that need land to go and occupy that land. We are tired as government now. We'll deal with that situation because it's quite clear that this syndicate thinks that they can collect money, invade land, and nothing happens to them. If we have to meet in court, we'll meet in court. But we are going to destroy those informal settlements. We can't, because immediately after that informal settlement is established, what do people need? They need water. They need a school. They need scholar transport to be taken to the nearest school. They will then come and say they need sewer. They need roads. And we don't have, so we have to move money from those that are obedient to satisfy those that are disobedient because they can close roads or they can go on a public platform and insult us. Those days are over. If there is an informal settlement that is not recognized, that is not registered, that we have not given it the go-ahead, as I'm saying now, we have resolved as government, those informal settlements must be crushed. And we'll try to persuade the affected people to do it voluntarily and engage government. If they don't want to do voluntarily and engage government, we have no choice. But the sad part is that majority of this new informal settlement is people that are not documented in our country. That's the sad part. Who think that they can challenge this government on the basis that they can just invade land and then establish that informal settlement without authorization, and thereafter come and blame government that they don't have water. We're not going to allow that. We've been abused, it's enough. We're going to be firm. So when we hear stories from now on, and I said to the team, we are going to dismantle this informal settlement at 2 a.m. I said it to the team. I don't want anyone during the day at 2 a.m. Because I think the patience of this government and the patience of our people in our country and the accommodative nature of us to ensure that we work within the human rights limitations is been abused and taken advantage of. And therefore, we are pulling all, what we are doing in this one in particular, all municipalities, all the law enforcement agencies, we are going to hit one informal settlement by time. All of us. It's not going to be Ekurhuleni alone. If you are going to Ekurhuleni, we are bringing Johannesburg municipality, we are bringing Tshwane municipality, Sidibé municipality, we are bringing all the law enforcement agencies. We go to that area at 2 a.m. Don't ask me why 2 a.m. At 2 a.m. and we are going to deal with these informal settlements. We can't be taken back when we want to develop our province. And we can't allow people that think that they can bypass processes because they think that they've got an organized syndicate to do all these wrong things. So that's our commitment. They were going to work on it the way we've taken the decision to work on around them.
Neria, you have the microphone. She has the microphone. That will come to you, colleagues.
Oh, Neria Lekgotla from the SABC. Premier, I'm going back to the issue of the informal settlements. Where will the people go if you remove them? The Kampepe report is clear that there's a shortage of housing in the province and hence the hijacked buildings, among others. Where do you expect people to go when you remove them? The second one, in terms of preparations of the G20, among others, you were talking about the achievements, the potholes, the traffic lights, and etc. How much have you spent so far in that preparation? And lastly, I just want to press you a little bit on the political killings, and you also added the taxi industry killings to that. If you say from 2010 to now, do we at least have an idea, percentage, number, that even makes you want to even have a task team for that matter? Because I think if we say from 2010 to now, we should have a rough estimate that's pushing government to be happy about the establishment of the task team.
Neria, we've asked the police to give us those statistics. I think they will. And we've also asked correctional services because they also, on the basis of people that have been arrested, they've got those statistics. We've arrested municipalities because there are many officials that work for municipalities that have been killed for that information. I mean, there was a city manager in one Sidibé district manager that was killed in a mall. And that person still, the case has not even reached the courts. We don't even know who killed them. They have also asked Salga, that is dealing with the councillors. There are lots of, in Tshwane, we don't have less than 12 councillors that have been killed. The last being 2 months ago. What councillor? In Johannesburg, were 3 councillors that were killed in the last 6 months. So we just want to consolidate the figures and then we'll give them to you. I can say it's 200 only to find out by the time it comes. It's far ahead of that and you will say that I've misled society. So I don't want to, but the numbers are huge, I must be honest. And they can't be called cases. And that's the reason why we feel that we need to Neria, our approach is very simple. There is a waiting list. You don't jump the waiting list because you can invade land and come and say, if you remove me, where do you take me? If you are on the waiting list, our commitment is to ensure that you get a house properly, procedurally. So any other person, especially those that are not documented South Africans, we have no responsibility. Our approach is simple. The housing waiting list is for South Africans. And we don't want people who are not on the waiting list. Because they're not on the waiting list, they think that the shortest possible way is for them to create. The Kampepe Commission does not encourage land invasion. it just brings the urgent need for us to invest and increase our budget in low-cost housing, which is something that we're doing. Tomorrow, which is my birthday, I was supposed to enjoy my birthday, I'm handing over houses to people that are on the waiting list in that area. Where's that area? Tomorrow. You can join. So we do this, we give people houses. But we can't tolerate, and we've changed our housing policy, for example. We know if people have to wait for an RDP house, it can take long. There are young people like yourself, Neria. If we can give you land that has water, electricity, and sewer, you can build your own house at your own time. You know that you've got it. So we're doing that, we're accelerating that. It's a mega housing and things. The problem we have is people that know that they don't qualify to be on a waiting list. And the shortest way that they want to do is to encourage this informal settlement. They've abused us, it's enough. We want to ensure that this culture comes to an end, and we are ready to confront them at 2 a.m. We are ready to confront them to deal with that with that aspect. I hope I've responded to all your issues, Neria. Well, we've used our current budget. I think MEC, in the budget, we allocated you additional amount of money for traffic lights, road infrastructure, and other things. And MEC for environment, DG, we gave additional money for cleaning. And MEC for community safety, his name is Panyaza Lisufi, we gave him money for law enforcement. And there's MEC responsible for what other area? Health, because our hospitals need to be ready to respond to emergency. So it's quite an amount of money that is within our budget. I think Treasury can give you those figures. So we're using internal capacity where we can. But as I said, we don't want to say it's money for G20. It's money to beautify Gauteng. And we are ready to ensure that even beyond G20, we continue with this program.
Thank you, Prima. There's one more question.
Premier and the room, please allow me to greet you all.
Thank you.
Premier, it seems Nasispan is popular this morning. Premier, my question is, a few months back, there was a march to this office. People with the blood cards says, Asispani, you are out of the country.
Yeah.
They've handed over the memorandum to the acting premier at that time, Faith Mazibuk. Those that were in that march, they're not blaming you per se, but those are administrating the process of recruitment and the DGs. So did you respond to that? And going forward with this Nasispani launch, going forward, how are you going to handle it to make sure with those allegations that it's not happening, as they are saying that you, as we are saying to us this morning, that you want to cover each and every corner of your province, not only certain people, that they must be recruited. You'll answer on that one. On political killings, the top cop from KZN, whether fact or speculation, your province was named in that press briefing. And it happened a few weeks later, and as you were saying, that some politicians that are in the pockets of the criminals. Now, we all know that one of the politicians was arrested. Was not arrested actually. When they go to arrest the criminal, he was found in the property. It's a fact, and they resigned as we speak. So what will be your response? As we know that even the security cluster, you recruited it to your office. So based on that, what has been said, what will be your response? It took you by shock, and what will you talk to that? And the last one, we just talk about the concert that it was successful within the Gauteng. Prima, if you can tell me, the Gauteng teams, they are dominating the finals.
Yes.
But now, we are not hosting those finals. Why? Thank you very much.
Well, definitely, Sekhukhune, Kaizer Chiefs, Mamelodi Sundowns, and Pirates are doing beautiful. The team refused. Well, I wanted to add it in my statement. They were not happy. They say I must remove. I don't know why, but I assume it's because they support various teams, so they didn't want to. They're doing very well, I must be honest. And we're proud as Gauteng. These are Gauteng teams, even though they've got a national footprint. And we bid for these finals. So Mbombela won. Last time it was KZN. Our 10 will come. So we don't mind. But we are hosting the biggest, and all of you have not internalized this. We are hosting the biggest golf tournament in the entire world. It's called Live Golf. Just Google Live Golf. 54 most talented golfers will be in Gauteng during the month of March 2026. I attended the golf because we announced in London. We went there to receive the announcement that Gauteng is going to host. When we were there were 8,000 participants of that tournament. As I'm speaking to you now, we have sold 46,000 tickets already. So it was 8,000 there. We are on 46,000, and we are almost 9 months before that tournament. So I can't go and squabble about. You get my point. So it's fine that Mbombela is hosting the final. I'm excited that it's sold out. I will be there cheering a Gauteng team. But in reality, we are hosting the biggest global tournament or two global events, the G20 and Live Golf. And we are at an advanced stage with those that we are lobbying to have F1 Formula come into Gauteng. So I don't want to underestimate some tournaments, but I can't have all of them. Let's concentrate on those that are bringing big money, those that are bringing real money. And we're excited that the G20 are bringing real money, and Live Golf is going to bring real money and create jobs, Heidi, that are needed, not short-term jobs, real jobs that are needed. So I'm really happy that Mbombela is hosting. I'm also encouraged as well. I'm going there as well. Free State is hosting Bafana in terms of the World Cup qualifiers. Next week, Tuesday, is a big one. And I respect the decision of SAFA to take it out of Gauteng to Mbombela, to Free State. Just imagine Nigeria playing South Africa at FNB Stadium. The attendance will be how attend. So some of these things we must accept that it's reality, and therefore will not. The KZN team, the commissioner, mentioned the good work Gauteng team was doing, and they were requested to join us as a backup. And when they arrived here, they established that the situation is under control and Gauteng is dealing with it. So there's nothing negative about Gauteng in terms of the statement, that popular Sunday press briefing by the Provincial Commissioner of KZN. We learned on their workings so that we must not repeat the same mistakes. And that's the reason why our own political killing task team, we need clear timelines, clear terms of references, clear resources, so that they can execute this responsibility as quickly as possible. Because that's why it's called the task team. It's not a permanent feature, so that we can be in a position to ensure that it comes to an end. So we really believe that we are on the right track in terms of the work that has been done. I know all of you were disappointed when the political person was found at the scene. All of you assumed that is an ANC person. All of you, without exception. And when you found out that is not an ANC person, I could imagine how disappointed you were. So I'm not going to enter that debate or why Kane was there. He has taken a step back, and we respect the decision of PA for ensuring that he steps aside. But our political task team will do political work. We are only motivating for the taxi killings to also be incorporated so that we can resolve this matter once and for all. Elijah?
Clayton?
We said what on Nasispan? The match? No, I mean, I received many matches in my office. There was one political party that was crying at the wrong funeral here. They came here, they cried, and I told them, you're crying at the wrong funeral. It's not my mandate. Similarly, the march that came here, you are right, it was not directed at me. It's young people say they're unemployed, and that is why we are responding through the Nasispan. We are taking this weekend alone 45,000 young people that were unemployed this week. 45,000 of them, after this weekend, they are going to get something every month. And possibly, they are going to be absorbed in government so that they can fix the infrastructure that we're having challenges with, which is a permanent removal from the unemployment list. And also, Heidi, we are the only province, the last quarterly statistics that was released by Stats SA, in terms of employment, Gauteng is the only one that led with additional numbers, even though unemployment is still high. So we'll continue to deal with Nasispan in that fashion. And I don't mind when people march to my office and raise the issues that they've raised. It propels us to always ensure that we are on the right side of the issues that are raised by our communities.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's come back to Clayton.
Premier Breiten from Netwerk 24. Premier, just I think it was earlier this week, not too far from here, the Lillian Goy street was reopened. Does that project get the stamp of approval of the Premier of the province?
I was not invited.
And then, sorry, then just a second one. 3 years ago, the Boksburg explosion, I visited some of the victims' families yesterday, and Premier, the project is still incomplete, the bridge is still, I mean, yeah, very little work has been done. What's the update on that project? Thank you.
Unfortunately, I can't comment on I was not invited at the unveiling of this. I've not been there. Yeah, and the Boksburg one as well is a municipality issue. I know when it exploded, the municipality committed, but it had also Prasa because there's a railway line there. So I need to check it. I'm glad that we have contacted the relevant people. Maybe the information that they've captured, you can share with us to check whether we can follow it up on it. What I know is that the law enforcement and the judiciary or the courts, I still feel that they let us down when the person that was involved and the company that was involved in this explosion was left to move scot-free. I really feel that that was a miscarriage of justice.
Heidi?
I just have two last questions. The first one is, I don't know if you mentioned it, Premier, but are you going to be taking action against certain individuals regarding the Usindiso fire? Because when I had the mayor on my show a couple of weeks ago, he said that there's going to be a collective accountability and responsibility, but the report fingers certain people. So what are you going to be doing about that? And then just lastly, the province is going through a bit of a lot at the moment because a chopper has been deployed to Ondekers, and my colleague Bafedile has asked me to ask you a question around what are you going to be doing about the water challenges, because they've blocked the roads there and a whole chopper has been deployed, and residents are now even more angry because they don't have water, and police have obviously tried to intervene. It's not just in Ondekers, but I think across the province there are still water challenges. And as the Premier, what are you going to do to make sure that everyone has water? Thank you.
There should be water. And I honestly don't understand that it must take our communities to protest for them to get access to water. I'll engage the municipalities. I was not aware. I'll engage the municipalities, and they have to provide water. The only area that I'm aware that we've been working on is water in Sandton City. We went there with the DG and the team. We got a commitment that is it end of August, DG, of September, that the infrastructure there will be fixed, because we can't have the middle of Sentin without water. It does not justify that there must be no water in other communities, but it really creates problems. My only, and I'll be frank with you, Heidi, if there are challenges of water, I don't understand, and I emphasize this point. Municipalities explain and indicate what that our people can understand if they are either a burst pipe or, but if you keep quiet, and it's only when they occupy the streets that you want to respond to their issues, it's very, very unfortunate. I think we need to pass that stage. That our communication network must be geared up so that our communities know when, and I always utilize the issue of load shedding. All of us were angry about load shedding, but the best thing that load shedding did was to give you timetables. You knew that between this period and this period, I will not have electricity. I will either sleep at somebody's place or I will go and get an alternative energy. We have to take that lesson within the water industry. And I really feel that we're missing that particular point. If there is no water, communicate appropriately to a constituency and indicate that there won't be water. And people don't mind. They just want to know, if there's no water now, when will it come back? So that they can be in a position to put alternative plans. This thing that people must go to the streets, occupy streets, bend tires, send choppers, before we can respond to a simple question. There is a burst pipe, or we're doing maintenance, or there is illegal connection, we are removing illegal connection. We really have to go over this kind of attitude and ensure. So I'll check with the municipality. Fortunately, the acting mayor comes from the IFP now. The mayor is outside, and I must congratulate him. He's getting his master's degree in London, and I really feel that we need to congratulate him. I'll speak to the acting mayor to deal with this matter. You know, I don't want to take responsibility for things that are beyond me, Heidi. Usindiso, the report is very clear. There is a gentleman that is currently in court that set the fire about Usindiso. And that gentleman came to the commission and confessed, which is the major success of this commission. That if we have not established this commission, even today we would have not known who started the fire. So why should I take collective responsibility for that? But on issues of buildings and other things, and the people that have been mentioned, I think I watched the executive mayor in my interviews. I think it's the correct approach, that those that are mentioned must take responsibility for their actions. But I'm glad that when 77 people died, I didn't look away and said 77 people, I don't know who they are, let life proceed. I established this commission under severe criticism, another commission. But I felt there must be a closure to the families, and they must know what happened. I'm glad the second part of this report will be released tomorrow, and then people will have closure, and then they can take it forward. I know the other people that are asking for compensation and other things. It's a different ball game. My mandate, or our mandate, was to ensure that people know what happened and people know the status of buildings across the CBD. We now have that information, which I really believe it was why we established this commission.
All right, great stuff. Thank you very much, Premier. It looks like Heidi's was the last question in the room.
Thank you so much.
Can I check? Nothing.
Well, the school list is long, man, TJ. I know the one that they had in the public space. I think that you put almost 8 or 22. Yes. I'm not sure there's a technical school because we're utilizing technical schools. Khalif is there, will take you through. We are utilizing technical schools for now. We are going to utilize TVET colleges and varsities during the month of December. But it's technical school, so not every township has a technical school, and that's the reason why.
Thank you very much, Premier. Thank you, colleagues. We appreciate it's been 1.5 hours of engagement. There's refreshments next door. Thank you.
No, it's only tomorrow. Yeah. And you'll see the entire Gauteng.